The movie starts with the introduction of In-soo, a young college student who possesses an unusual ability. He can see ghosts. This supernatural gift, however, makes him an easy target for bullying, with his classmates mockingly calling him the Ghost Seer. Always wearing a mysterious locket, In-soo knows that whenever it starts spinning, a spirit is nearby. One day, while traveling on the subway, the locket suddenly reacts wildly. Scanning his surroundings, he spots a ghost, a young girl wandering among the busy commuters. Unnerved by the sight, he quickly exits the metro and rushes home. Hoping to find some peace, In-soo checks his room, relieved at first when everything seems normal. But his relief is short-lived. The locket starts spinning again. To his horror, the ghost is now perched on his shoulders. However, she does not mean to harm him. Instead, she desperately seeks his help. Through their interaction, it is revealed that this ghost was murdered, and she wishes for her remains to be found so that her parents can finally have closure. Initially reluctant, In-soo hesitates to get involved, but after much persuasion, he finally gathers the courage to contact the authorities, ensuring that her case is settled and her soul can find peace. In-soo is exhausted from seeing ghosts. Even though he helps them, he just wants to live a normal life and make friends. Tired of everything, he decides to leave school and return to his hometown, hoping to find some answers. He calls his uncle Hikaru to let him know he's coming. Hikaru tries to stop him, reminding him that his studies are important, but In-soo refuses to listen. On his way home, he notices a beautiful girl named Rose. Later, he finally meets his uncle who, to his surprise, also has the ability to see ghosts. But unlike In-soo, Hikaru is a skilled exorcist, well known for sending spirits to the afterlife. The next day, In-soo enrolls in his childhood school, hoping for a fresh start. But things don't go as planned. A group of bullies quickly start picking on him. One of them, Hyunji, even flirts with him, despite having a boyfriend, Haechul. While dealing with them, In-soo suddenly sees a masked female ghost standing outside the classroom. Fear creeps over him. After school, Haechul ambushes In-soo and beats him up, warning him to stay away from Hyunji, even though she was the one flirting. Then, Haechul mentions a girl who died mysteriously years ago. In-soo used to see her ghost often, begging for help, but he never had the courage to do anything. The guilt of ignoring her was one of the reasons he left town in the first place. That night, one of the female bullies finds a plastic bag hanging on her door. As she tries to open it, it rips and blood spills all over her face. Terrified, she desperately tries to call her friends, but the call won't go through. Before she can react, the masked ghost appears and attacks her, ending her life. Meanwhile, In-soo sits with Rose, the girl he saw earlier. But Rose is not just a normal girl, she's a ghost. She died years ago, but unlike the others, she doesn't look scary. In-soo enjoys talking to her. Suddenly, the wind picks up, and Rose warns him that the masked ghost is near. Panicked, In-soo runs away. The next day at school, Hyunji bullies a boy in front of the entire class. In-soo has had enough. He decides to step in. In-soo firmly tells Hyunji to stop bullying others once and for all. Just as expected, the other bullies try to attack him, but to everyone's surprise, Hyunji stops them. It seems she has started to like In-soo. Later that evening, while watching the news with his uncle, In-soo sees a report about a long, unsolved murder case. The killer has finally been caught after 10 years, and he was wearing a mask. This instantly grabs In-soo's attention, reminding him of the masked ghost he saw at school. Curious, he brings it up with his uncle, hoping to learn more. Just then, a female ghost who seems to live in their house reveals that the masked ghost's name is Sei-hee. Meanwhile, a couple from the bully group sneaks into the school at night. Their goal is to retrieve the girl's cell phone, which a teacher had confiscated earlier. After successfully getting it back, they decide to hang out in a classroom. A little later, the girl heads to the washroom, leaving the boy alone. While he waits, Sei-hee, the masked ghost, suddenly appears and kills him. Not long after, she attacks the girl in the bathroom stall, taking her life as well. The next day, the school is in shock over the two murders. Hyunji, in particular, seems deeply disturbed, as her friends are being killed one by one. Meanwhile, In-soo is determined to learn more about the masked ghost, Se-hee. He asks his classmates about her, but nobody dares to talk, even though they clearly know something. It becomes clear that her death is connected to the bully group. Later, while spending time with Rose, In-soo receives a message from a classmate. It includes a photo of Se-hee along with a warning, telling him not to ask about her anymore. Curious, he turns to Rose and asks if she knows anything about Se-hee. Rose simply replies that everyone at school knows how she died. At that moment, In-soo finally realizes the awful truth. Se-hee's death was caused by the bully group. Fueled by anger, In-soo lunges at Hae-chul from behind, but the bully is too strong and easily overpowers him, leaving him battered on the ground. Despite the pain, In-soo grins and warns, "Se-hee is coming for you all." Later that evening, as Hae-chul and Hyunji walk home, Hyunji shows him a picture of Se-hee's father and connects it to their friends' mysterious deaths. She is convinced that Se-hee's father is the one killing them as revenge. Hae-chul agrees, and the two decide to go to Se-hee's house and take him down before he can strike again. Unbeknownst to Hae-chul, Hyunji secretly messages In-soo, telling him their plan. In-soo receives the message and quickly informs his uncle. Though he despises the bullies, he knows they are in danger and decides to stop them before it's too late. His uncle Hakaru warns him to be careful and gives him a magical dagger for protection. Meanwhile, when Hae-chul and Hyunji arrive at Se-hee's house, they hear a strange thumping sound coming from a box. As they look around, they see eerie images of Se-hee, making them realize that In-soo was right. Se-hee has returned for revenge. Panic sets in, and they try to escape, but before they can, Se-hee's father emerges from the box and brutally kills Hae-chul. Hyunji, terrified and desperate, begs for her life, apologizing for everything she did, but her pleas fall on deaf ears. Se-hee's father does not forgive, and he kills her too. Shortly after, In-soo arrives at the house. He finds his classmates lying lifeless on the floor and soon realizes that Se-hee's ghost has possessed her father. As he turns to leave, he hears a noise from a nearby closet. Inside, he finds a masked girl, Se-hee. Summoning his courage, In-soo unmasks her and is shocked to see that she is Rose. The story then flashes back to the past, revealing the truth. Se-hee was once a bright and cheerful girl at school, but like many others, she became a victim of Hyunji's bullying. One day, after reaching her limit, she reported Hyunji to the head teacher. The teacher took the complaint seriously and humiliated Hyunji in front of the whole class. This only made things worse. From that day, Hyunji and her gang made Se-hee's life a nightmare. They beat her, pulled her hair, set it on fire, and forced her to wear a mask. The entire class witnessed her suffering, but no one dared to speak up, fearing the same fate. Broken and hopeless, Se-hee took her own life. In death, her spirit split into two personalities. Rose, the kind and gentle version of Se-hee. The masked girl, a vengeful spirit determined to eliminate all her tormentors. Back in the present, In-soo stumbles upon a diary with the names of all the victims, each one crossed out except for the head teacher. Realizing that the masked girl is not finished, he rushes to the school to save her. Meanwhile, the head teacher is working late when Se-hee's spirit appears. In-soo arrives moments later, asking for the teacher, but no one has seen her. Suddenly, the lights flicker, and Se-hee emerges, now possessing the head teacher's body. Se-hee finally reveals her true masked self and declares that since everyone ignored her suffering when she was bullied, they all deserve to be punished. In-soo tries to stop her, but she grabs a lighter and throws it toward the gasoline spilled on the ground. It seems like the students are about to be burned alive. But then, something unexpected happens. Rose, Se-hee's alter ego, catches the lighter just before it hits the ground. The two sides of Se-hee have a chilling conversation, with Rose desperately trying to stop her other self from harming the students. However, Se-hee is much stronger and easily overpowers Rose, making her disappear. Meanwhile, Hakaru reaches Se-hee's house and begins his supernatural ritual. At the same time, Se-hee's spiritual energy grows stronger, causing destruction all around her. Insu, determined to stop her, starts checking the magical locket to see who might be possessed by Rose's spirit. When he notices the locket spinning around one of the girls, he pleads with her to stop and hands her a notebook he found in Seihi's storage. A flashback takes us to the past, revealing that Insu and Seihi were childhood friends. She had once saved him from bullies, and they shared a deep bond. Insu had even drawn a picture of her in his notebook. In the present, he apologizes to Rose's spirit for not recognizing her sooner. The distraction is just enough time for Hikaru to complete his ritual. As Rose's spirit is finally freed, the dagger in Insu's pocket begins to glow. Rose takes the dagger and stabs herself. In that moment, we see a montage of beautiful memories between Insu and Seihi. In the final scene, the students gather at Seihi's grave, mourning her loss. Insu stands among them, holding a heartfelt sketch of his beloved Rose, remembering her with sadness and love.